Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Women Unfolding. Of course, I have my two beautiful co-hosts, Miss Karen Dollywall and Miss Aretha Taylor. Thank you
Hi.
guys for joining us again. Our topic today will be a topic that I guess we all know about because we have all have dealt with it sometime or another in our lives. So it's jealousy. So we're going to talk about
Mm,
jealousy. Yes, what it means to be jealousy, what caused jealousy, and how we can get rid of jealousy. And also just, when I was thinking about it, it says jealousy, is it the same thing as envy?
Envy.
Yeah, yeah.
mm,
So some people it's not more so of jealous, more so, but more so of envy, right?
Mhm.
So we can just
Mhm.
tap onto into both. So let's go, ladies. Our
mm.
topic, jealousy. Jealousy. Yeah, so you guys, I know, have you guys ever dealt with jealousy?
Mm.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. I was just talking to my daughter about that. And my first experience of that was when I was like in my late teens. And this was someone close to me. It's always someone close to you, right? She was someone that I used to like run the streets with, go partying with, hang out with. I thought she was my friend. I called her my friend. And what she did was she tried sabotaging my friendship with other people, the people that I was staying with at the time, and also the guy that I was dating. And I didn't understand why. And even the guy that I was dating, he was like, you need to have a conversation with I can speak of her name now because she's no longer here on earth. Her name is Dina, right?
Mhm.
You need to speak with Dina because something isn't right. Some of the things that she said about you to me, I don't understand why she would say these things about you and you and her are friends. I don't understand. And I was dumbfounded and I confronted her and of course she denied it. But that was my first experience and it was such a betrayal. It was so hurtful. It was so painful. And even though her and I continued a friendship, it was not the same for me. I stepped back um and I because there was no trust. I didn't trust her. And eventually that relationship was severed because how can you maintain a friendship with someone whom you know means you
Mm,
no good, who you know
right, right.
tried to hurt you, and she did hurt me and try to sabotage everything else around you. So no, I cut that off. I severed that.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really kind
Sin.
of worrisome.
Yeah, Karen.
Yeah, so there's when we think sometimes of jealousy, we think of, well, for me, when I think of jealousy, there's times where I think of it with associated with a man. But when I started really healing and working on myself, I learned that jealousy for me started in childhood, started in when I was living in poverty, started when I was doing comparisons to other people and what they had, and just wanting it and just not knowing how to regulate myself and back to humility because I was just had this spirit in me of wanting something I couldn't have, um, that jealous spirit. And so as not having those coping skills or having the skills to regulate it, it turned into other stuff. Then I would just grow as in friend girlfriend relationships, and then eventually, I've been the person who's been jealous and also have made people jealous, right?
Mhm.
And jealousy is it's just a very sticky, icky, and has no positivity around it.
Mm-mm.
There's nothing positively that comes out of being jealous or making someone jealous or being impacted by being jealous. And I learned that for me, I had to really discipline myself, because also with jealousy, you have like being a hater, right? You're
Mm,
sometimes a hater or whatever, and redirecting your thoughts. Because even today, even though I'm more mature than I was, and I'm able to like, oh, like I feel some type of way, but then I'm like, okay, God, like, and then having that faith piece of, okay, God, like redirect my thought, redirect every thought that makes me look at someone less than or jealous of them or like bitter or anything, you know. And so that it comes with being really disciplined. But jealousy is something that I feel like until you leave this earth, that you will not get away from. You'll be able to, with God's faith and helping you control it, a little bit better. But it's something that, just as our flesh nature, our flesh is attracted to jealousy. Our
Right,
flesh is
right.
jealous. We are in this flesh world, so we're always going to be dealing with it. And so I don't deal with it on the daily, but I definitely have those thoughts where I'm like, okay, God, like, help me redirect that and not think of my sister or my family or friends or something like that.
Awesome, awesome. That is great. Yeah, I think that I have been on both sides of the table, really. But as you said, Karen, my first, as I think back, my first experience with jealousy, it's always been in a relationship with a man, right? So you
Mm,
always associate that. Yes, you have these jealous feelings that stir up in you when, your partner maybe um Googling Google
mhm,
guys in someone else, and you are, and you feel hurt, and then this jealousy comes up. But then we also, for me, I have experienced that as well. And that's why I'm trying to figure out the difference, because I will see someone that is aspiring for greatness, and that's a place that I may want to be, right? And I
mm,
see, and yes, even though I would love to you know, to be there, right? I don't necessarily say that that's jealousy, but because I'm not or I'm not envious of the person, nor am I jealous of the person. But I say to myself, Dag, you know what? I wish that was me, right? Or I wish
mm,
that my ministry was doing all of this.
mm,
So yeah, but it does come sometimes when, you feel like, okay, well, why is God blessing that person, and not blessing me? And I'm doing all this and I'm doing all that. And I come to realize, when I start dealing with the flesh, because yes, it is a flesh thing, that you don't know what people have been through to get to where they're at, right? So you shouldn't be jealous of that person. If anything, you could reach out to that person and say, okay, you know what? I see you're there. How can I get there? And
mm,
it's nothing wrong with emulating the person, but when it gets to a point that jealous feeling started ensuing all these bitter emotions, inside of you, then that's when you really need to check that and deal with that, because jealous can lead to so many different things.
mm. So the definition, envy is the painful feeling of wanting what someone else has, like attributes or possessions. If you're
Mhm.
jealous, you feel threatened, protective, or fearful of losing one's position or situation to someone else.
Okay, all right. So I guess I felt both of them. I
That's
guess
being
I felt
real.
both of them. But thank God, I think that I'm more into the jealousy category more than the envy, because I'm not really an envious person. I'm really not, because I will say that, God has blessed me,
Mm,
through the hands of, my parents and, my friends, and even acquaintances that I have met along the way. So, I am not envious of people. Not to say that there's times I haven't seen someone. It's never even about a materialistic thing that a person have that I'm ever envious of. As I said, I will see someone that may aspire to be greatness, and I said, "Oh wow, I wish that was me." Or I look at myself and it says, I should have been at this level and I'm not
mm,
there as yet, right? And how can I get there? But
Mhm,
jealousy, several times, I would say it has creeped up into me in relationships that I have been in, and I never liked that, because I don't like the feeling, because with jealousy, it just can lead into so many different things, for you to do things, to say things that you sometimes you can't come back, from.
mm,
So
right.
I try to really regulate, my feelings, my emotions, and said, okay, why are you feeling this way, and how can you change that?
Mhm,
mm. Like
mhm,
inspiring. Like I know, like anytime I have felt jealous, like just like how one thought can go to another thought and go to another thought and just spiraling into more negativity until you're like in a hole, like until you can get into depression, right?
Right, right.
And I've been there. And I think one of the things that as I've gotten older, of to just like pause your mouth, like just pause and be like, okay, like is this really gonna long term, is this benefiting any of us? Am I saying something to get through to them, or is it just for me to get my vengeance out, you know, or for me to get my
Right, right,
words out? And pausing, and me, I have to like physically regulate my body. That means like if I need to step away from the situation, if I need to go take a hot shower, get away from somebody, or to go take a walk, or just say, hey, I can't I can't keep having this conversation. I'll call you back in a few days when I'm more mentally stable to have this conversation more maturely with you, you know. If it's, yeah, so just all those things are the impact of jealousy. And I'm just like, I'm grateful like we're talking about this, because within women and women of color, like we see in our communities, like we're trying to lift each other up, but we don't always get that, you know,
right,
due
right.
to the jealousy, or what people think is like, you know, not jealousy, but it is, or what they're feeling. And so having this conversation and having it with you women is, it's a very powerful
Wow.
conversation to have.
So as you said something, you said, you know, you're learning how to pause your mouth. And as you saying that, I said, it's so easy sometimes to pause your mouth, but how do you pause your heart?
Heart.
Ooh, come
Yes,
on,
how do you
come
pause,
on.
how do you pause your heart really? Because
Mhm.
that's where it comes from. Your heart feels, oh, all these feelings that, oh my God, I'm not, and you feel like your heart is hurting and things like that. It is more so, I think those feelings when it comes to a heart thing, jealousy is always in some form of relationship, not necessarily when you are jealous of someone else for something. Does that make sense? Something
Mm,
else. But I think in any type of romantic relationship, it's just you have to check your heart posture really, because that it stirs up in there, and it can be very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
experienced it. And I think it's just normal for us as human beings to feel jealous in our relationships, especially if you're in a relationship with someone who neglects you,
ooh,
right?
Jesus.
Yes.
And this person is showing other people, their friends, their families, other women attention and neglecting you. So, of course, jealousy is going to rise up. And then that jealousy turns into anger, right? And now you're lashing out on that individual because
Mm,
you're like, wait a minute, what's wrong with me? Why do you pay them attention? Why do you give them all of your attention? Why are you so kind to them? And me, your partner, I'm not getting that from you. Your partner who loves you, who's by your side, who supports you, who shows you love, who isn't asking you for anything but just to be loved back. But yet you can give them that attention and not give me. So then that turns into anger. And I've been there. I've been there.
mm,
And it was not a nice lashing out, right? Because jealousy rises. Your heart, as you said, Clover, your heart, you try to protect your heart, but sometimes you just can't, because
Oh,
I'm a person, I give my 100. I don't know about the 50-50. I'm not a 50-50 person. I give my 100. If I'm in a relationship, if I'm a friend, if I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I give my 100. That's who I am. That's the kind of person that I am. I cannot not just say I'm going to do it halfway or just go halfway on this. That isn't who I am. I'm going to give my 100, and I'm going to give me. And so I don't have to get it back in the same way, but just appreciation. Show your appreciation. You
mm,
know, that's my love language. Show your appreciation
mm,
to me, and show and respect. Um, we ain't gonna have a problem. But
mm,
I've been in a situation where mother-daughter jealousy on both ways, right? Like my siblings, I've had a sister who was jealous of my relationship with my mom. And I've had friends who've been jealous of my relationship with my daughter, with me and my daughter, to the where the person insulted me because I shared something with them that my daughter did for me. And I didn't know I wasn't supposed to, because that's my friend. Then she lashed out on me later on. And I sat back and thought about it. And I was like, what did I do? Like, why is she so angry with me? And then right away I heard you shared with her what your daughter did for you. I was like, oh my God, that taught me so much. You can't share with those, not with everyone, that relationship that you have with your child, because people get jealous because they don't have that. They don't have that. And they don't realize it is something that you have to instill, something you have to create with you and your child from a certain age, from that young, tender age. It's that bond that you have to build with that individual. So I've gotten it on both ends in that regard.
Wow, wow, that's deep, deep. I'm just thinking about a time. I remember when I was in a relationship, and I love this guy. I loved him a lot. And I remember I had also a great relationship with his mom. And she had called me. She says, and I don't mind using this guy name. And she has called, she says, Clover, Chris just stopped by my house. And guess who he had in his car? I said, who? She said he had another girl in his car. She picked up the phone and called me. I said, oh, really? I said, okay. I said, thank you for letting me know. I said, who do you think? And she said, I don't know. But she was sitting in the front of the car. So that evening he came to my house. When he came over to my house, I told him, I said, yeah, your mom told me what happened. And we started into an argument, and I went outside and I took out a brick and I broke the I broke the front of the windshield of his car, and you could see the brick. It was set in the car because she shattered, right? And I ran inside because I thought he was gonna come after me. I ran inside. He took that same brick and he broke out the back of my car. And I said, "Oh my God, let me tell you, the front of his car was less expensive to fix than the back of my car."
Oh,
You know what? I will never, ever, ever be in a position like that again, that I
right.
allow my feelings to
Your
get the best
emotions.
of me. Because
Right.
at that moment, it was all about, how I felt, the flesh, and just feeling like, oh yeah, now he's gonna play me, or he's playing me. And it stemmed from, again, jealousy. And
Yes.
jealousy can cause us to do just a plethora of things that we later on regret. And now,
Yeah.
as I'm talking about it, I can laugh about it, but then I couldn't
It
laugh
wasn't
about it.
funny.
I was in so much pain, and even after the window of my car, the back of my car was broken and he left. For me, it wasn't even think about how am I going to get the money to fix it. It was more, oh, so now he's going to leave me and go, and go with her. That's
Yeah.
all I was thinking about. I'm telling you, jealousy is dangerous.
Yes.
Man, you guys
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
triggered something. One thing when I was sitting with my counselor therapist, man, it was so powerful that she told me that, when, because as I was discussing jealousy, she's like, well, jealousy is the product of lack of boundaries.
Hmm.
And when I go look at every place I've been jealous of that like contributed, there was lack of boundaries there to contribute to this big emotion when jealousy popped up, you know, and giving that's why I do believe, Aretha, when I hear you say giving your all, like I feel, I absorb it, I feel it, I receive it, and I feel like that's something that that's something I can't turn off, of giving my all. I've just gotten to a place where I know that I want to have healthy relationships, and
Yeah.
boundaries is what makes healthy relationships.
Right.
Boundaries have prevented me from getting to this place now, that I don't go overboard with because I can just we could go for a week straight and just go out, jealousy. Shoot, Clover, you said one brick, I would have had three, honey. Okay. So So I think it's very, very powerful that, like, as we see our growth, as we're talking about, like, what jealousy, like what it's been, and the
Mhm.
growth that we all have now from, like, oh, we can, if it triggers us, we know how to deactivate it quicker
Right.
than what we used to do, you know?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
also, it can come from insecurity, especially when you in friendship, right? Because
Mm.
I've experienced it more so in friendship.
Mhm.
Where it's like out of nowhere, out of nowhere. I had another friend who tried to get me fired. We
Oh my
became very
gosh.
close friends on the job, very close friend. And she set me up nicely to get fired.
Oh,
And I didn't get fired, thank God. At the time, I was sent home. I forget what you call that, without pay. And and it came back on her later on. It did, not too long after, it came back on her. And I didn't do anything to her, even after the fact. I was still pleasant. I was still polite. I was still cordial. I was still respectful. But again, I backed away and it came
Mm.
right back on her, double fold.
Ooh.
And it was always friends, or those I thought were my friends, who hurt me, uh, and family member who you trust, that you love, that you pour into, that you pour out to, that you're there for, that you support. They're the ones who hurt me the most, family members and my friends. And I go into this cocoon for a little while. I stay by myself and I'll cry and I'll
Mm.
pray, and then I'll come out after a while, and then I still love them. I still love on them, but I back away from them. My first church hurt was when I was 15, no, 16, when I was
Mm.
16, when I was told you can't be on the choir no more because you're pregnant, right? So you just can't be on the choir no more because we need
Mm.
to, it's gonna look bad. And even if they felt they needed to do something, I felt they should have said, all right, you know what? Wait until after you have the baby, then you come back on the choir. They sat me down permanently. Do you know how hurtful that was? I
Mm.
was ashamed. I was so embarrassed. I was so hurt. I felt alone. I felt rejected. I felt abandoned. Um,
Mm.
because I felt they should have treated me better. They should have made me feel better about myself, but they
Mm.
didn't, right? And that was such a hurt for me. And yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna stop right there. But yeah, it a lot of the times it's people that are more closer to me that hurt me in that way, as far as the jealousy is concerned. Yeah.
right.
Mm.
Right.
That's
Yes.
powerful.
And
Aretha.
we deal with the jealousy also, yes, from
Mhm.
friends and folks that we love on them so much. And
Mm.
it's not that we are
Yeah.
selfish with the things that we have, or even, you know, certain positions that we can offer them. We do offer them as well. But you find that they're jealous. And I'm the one, let me tell you this, because I'm not a jealous or an envious type of person, it's hard for me to see it in others,
Ooh,
right?
come
It's
on.
very,
Come on.
very hard for me to see it in others. So I totally overlook it. And when they do certain things to me, I'm just like blown away. And I'm like, where is this coming from? And then I start to second guess myself. Well, probably I needed to pay that person more attention. Probably I needed to do more
Mm.
for that person, because I'm like, well, why is it? Or the things that they're jealous of or they see in me, I don't even see those things. So
Mm.
why are you jealous of me? I'm not understanding it, because for me, I'm just a regular person, right? And I struggle with that. I struggle with that a lot. And I don't know if it's something in me that just it's I don't know, I wouldn't say it's a people pleasing type of personality because I don't believe that. I just always see the best in people, and because my heart towards people is so good, I always expect that, but I'm coming to find out that it's not necessary so all the time. And that can be a very, very hurtful place to be when you find that folks that you have loved on, right? And later on to find out that they're jealous, and jealous of what? What is it? I've always been the type of person that's just so open. And I also believe that I'm the type of person that's very engaging, or, I'm not a standoff person. So if you need something, you can always come to me and you can ask me. So, I struggle with that because I don't know how to deal with that when I am receiving that from people. I don't know how to deal with it. It's
It's
very
your anointing. It is your anointing.
Get out of my brain, girl.
Okay. It is your anointing. I'm going to repeat that. And I'm coming from anybody who's tuning in, I'm coming from the spiritual side now. And I bring that up is because there's a power in faith that makes you attractive, that gravitates, that people want to gravitate to that because they need healing. I know from me, I've needed healing and I've gravitated to the anointing. I've gravitated to the glow. I've gravitated to the faith. I've gravitated to that. And sometimes when you have people coming from their hurts, habits, and hangups in all walks of life, they're not everyone has the same childhood bring-ups. Not everyone has the same faith-based bring-up. Not everyone has the same solid of what loyalty looks like, right? And then we mesh together, but we don't have the same beliefs on what loyalty is. And then things happen and you're like, oh, they're like, well, I that's your version of loyalty. My version of loyalty looks a little bit different, and it's very discouraging. But you're anointed woman, Clover, Dr. Clover.
I sat
So,
here, I sat here thinking it because that is what I see when I look at her. I see an inner and outer
Listen,
beauty.
ladies, this is not about me, okay? It's not.
okay, but it's brought up. So
Look at her. She doesn't even want to hear it, right?
yeah, come on.
An inner and outer beauty and genuinity. And people are drawn to you because of that. And there are a lot of people who are jealous of that and will become jealous of that, right? Because they don't have that, and they want it, and they're wondering. Each of us have that, something inside of us that pulls people to us, right? And there are people who don't understand it, don't like it, and they're jealous of it. And because of that, they're going to come at you. They're going to attack you. They're going to try to discredit you. They're going to attack your character. They will, because you don't even have to try. You don't even have to try. Sometimes you don't have to try as a person to have friends, right? It's just that thing in you, that anointing that pulls people to you, and people are like, what is it about her? What makes her so special? Why she got all these people? Why she got all of this? And what? Understand. But in order for you to even get that anointing, you had to go through something to get it. And they don't know what you went through.
Right.
Yeah, they want the glitz and the glam, but not the struggle that came with it, right?
I used to think so many years ago that it was about the material things that people were jealous of. As I got older and got had a relationship with Christ, I'm like, no, he's like, no. So I'm going to read something to you guys in Psalms 55.
Okay.
For it is not an enemy who taunts me, then I could bear it. Nor is it one who has hated me, who insolently exalts himself against me, then I could hide from it. Yes. But it is you, a man, my equal and my counsel, my companion and my familiar friend. We who had sweet fellowship together, who walked to the house of God in company. It's not always about what they do, but it's who it's coming from that makes it so painful. Who the hurt is coming from. That's what makes it. When a stranger come at me, I don't care. But it's those people that's so much closer to you and who hurt you, you weren't expecting that from them.
Right,
That's what
right.
makes it so painful.
Info, right. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And that's where I'm at right now. That's where I'm
Mhm.
seated at right now in life, dealing with these issues. And I'm saying, and you also right in the sense of what it is that I have been through, to get where I'm at. And people sometimes look at me and they think, my life is so seamless, but it's not.
And
But what
easy.
I do is I don't wear my pain on my sleeve, right? I take every single thing that I am going through and I take it to God because at the end of the day, number one, he will never ever disgrace me. He will never embarrass me.
Come
He
on.
will never share my secret. So that's the one that I need to go to, and that's the one that I go to, and I say, okay, this is what I'm struggling with. This is what's difficult for me. This is what I don't know how to handle it. That's the one that I go through, and because I go through to God, I'm able to come to a place where I know that, okay, you know what, my relationship with God is so strong. So
Mm.
I am going to allow him to take care of this. I'm not going to worry about it. Sometimes, yes, when I want what I want, I want it and I want it now. Yes,
Right.
it does come up. But outside of that, because of my life and all that I have gone through, I learned to trust only God.
Hmm.
Mm.
And I trust him in a way that anything that I'm going through, I would rather go to him. And I will go to him before I go to my mom. I will go
Oh,
to
come
him before
on.
I go to my son because he knows me. He's the one that
Mm.
created me. And sometimes I don't know how to deal with what it is that I'm dealing with. So I go to him and I say, well, he created me. He has a handbook that says Clover Perez, right? So
Come
he
on.
knows
You got
and
a
he
manual.
can regulate me. He knows how to get me back to a place where I need to be. And so that's how I show up in life, right? And I show up in life like I have everything under control, but it's not necessarily me that have everything
Come on.
under control. It's God, but I'm walking with the Spirit of God, knowing, and I'm confident in that, knowing that everything is going to be okay. And because I have reached that, I guess I wouldn't say apex, but I've gotten to that full um trust in God. I walk like I know everything. I walk like I can do everything, right? But people don't understand that it's not me, it's the God that's working through.
Yes.
And
And you
in
Mm.
walk in that confidence.
right, right, right.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
You
Yeah.
know. And so when you are that way, it's just natural and it's not anything that you're doing. Really.
Hmm.
It's not.
Hmm.
It's just God that's in you. And I think
So
that
we're gonna call it Godfidence.
God, I like
I
that.
like that.
Confidence, yes. I
I
love that.
like
Yeah. And so
that.
when we show up like that, we don't deal with that jealousy. We don't deal with all of those issues. We just don't deal with them.
Yeah.
Just don't deal with them. Yeah. So that's it.
I think one of the greatest joys have been for me in having sisters in the faith and having good, solid friendships is when you guys rise and when you are doing great, it encourages me to do great. And I know that I'm great because I have great friends. I
Right.
have great people in my circle who are doing things. And why wouldn't you want to be up underneath an amazing woman who's doing something who can teach you how to do it better or and
Right.
so teaching women how to stop being catty and how to stop having that jealous spirit and know that any woman who is willing to be your friend and doing something and wanting to come to be companion in that friendship with you, be wise, be together. In the word it says, in Proverbs talks about the Proverbs 31 woman, and the Proverbs 31 woman doesn't have enemies and she's building an empire of good friendships,
Right. Right.
And
Those are
so when I see that in you and Aretha, that you're doing great things, that you're like, I'm just in full support of it all, of it all. I want, because I know that your blessings mean that my blessings are close by.
right, right. And I love that you brought up the Proverbs, and I also love the Psalms that you read, Aretha, because that is the most painful thing when it is a friend.
Mm,
When it is a friend, that is the most painful thing to deal with, because as a friend, you share so much, right?
mm,
You invite
Mm.
them into your sacred space, and to have them have those feelings that you don't even know that they were having, and it even push you to think what they could have done, you know,
mm.
had God not covered you, what they could have done to you.
My,
So that is the most, and that scripture that you read was right on. And that's the thing that we have to deal with, you know, and I just believe that sometimes, again, we don't know how to be friends with people. We really and truly don't, because I feel like the friendship that I have shared with both of you, and you know, what I share with you, Karen, I share with Aretha, and Aretha can know, like, I was in my feelings the other day when she says, you know, well, God says, I says, well, you know, tell God how much time is enough time, you know. So I do get into those moods sometimes. But guess what? You guys are, I consider you friends because I can share my innermost thoughts, my feelings, and not hear it out on the street, right? Or not, you know, having someone come back to me and says, well, Aretha said this, Karen says that, and you guys pray for me. And whatever accomplishment that I may gain throughout, you know, my career, I can share it with you guys. And you guys are celebratorial of me, not jealous, you know, and vice
mhm,
versa. And whatever I am doing, I want to be that springboard also to say, okay, you know what? Let's go, ladies. This is an opportunity also for you. I share my resources. I share things that I do, you know, that I know that will help propel, you know, my friends or to a greatness, or even if it's something that, you know, it may not help me, but I know that it will help them. I will reach out and say, well, I think that this is for you. So when it comes from a friend, you know, that would do something like that to me, you know, it's very, very hurtful. And I'm in a situation that I'm dealing with something like that right now. And it's very hurtful, very,
mm.
very hurtful.
I want to say that I didn't find real friends until I found Christ. I did not have real friends until I knew who Jesus truly was. And this is why, because anytime we go south or have conflict, we have a reference. And Jesus is the only reference because he is the true gentleman and he is not the messenger, he is the message of what
And
real love looks like, of what
Yeah.
real gentleness looks like, real humility, kindness, niceness. And I didn't even, before I had relationships, we would fall in and out, say cussy at each other, hit below the belt, say stuff like just toxic, right? And now my conflict, when we do have concerns, it looks different because I want to be as respectable as I can be to get my point across because I want to maintain the relationship. I don't want to lose it. I don't want to hurt that person even more. But there's things, and sometimes I don't even know how to say it. So I'll get another brother, sister in the faith and talk to them and be like, hey, I need some help because I care about this person. What can I do to make this, to convey this message, right? And so you start learning different tactics, but I did not learn that until I got into Christ. Did not have solid relationships until I got into Christ.
wonderful. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Because he's our teacher,
yes,
right?
yes.
When when you have a relationship with him, he teaches you how
Mm,
to be a friend, a mother, a leader. He
come
teaches
on.
us in every area
Right.
of our lives. He teaches us how to be. So I totally agree with you on that. I had someone who she disrespected me some years ago. I went to go spend a weekend with her and we were having a disagreement and she called me out my name and I was like, girl,
Don't do that. Don't do
thank
that.
God that I have changed because I would have put your head through this windshield.
Mm,
And that was the last time she saw me. right? And she even emailed me and apologized. She goes, why haven't I heard from you or seen you? And I said, it's because of that. It's okay to disagree and argue, but you can still do it in respect. And I'm not going to be a friend to someone who disrespects me. I'm not doing that. And someone told me one time I'm cold. I just cut people off. Yes. Because if you're toxic and you mean me no good, and I see that and feel it, and you stay over there.
Yes, let it go. Let it go.
There's no need for you to be here. There's no need for you to be sitting at my table any longer. You can no longer partake of this. Simple. So I will cut you off.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Well, this is a great conversation, ladies. Thank you so much. I love it. I love it. I love it, And it's something that I love the fact that we do speak about topics that are relevant, right? And that as women that we deal with, and we deal with these things every day. It's a situation. These are situations that we have to deal with, but to just allow folks to see how we deal with them and how they can deal with them as well. And so I just love the conversations that we have, and it's always so genuine and just so transparent. And I love that, because that's how we reach people, when we are very transparent about the things that we go through, and not to skirt around, around it, to pretend like we don't go through things. We go through things, and folks always think that as Christians you don't go through things. Trust me, I always believe that as Christians we go through more. We go through more things, but thanks to God that He always, make a way out for us. He always does. So I thank you guys for this. This is a wonderful topic, and it's just something that I have been dealing with lately in my life, and I just don't know, how to come to a place where I see that I have to really let people go, because it's not good to have, like you said, Aretha, people that are toxic around you. And if I can't help you to elevate, and you have to feel like you have to be jealous or whatever, and then with the jealousy comes all these different kinds of emotions. I just don't need to deal with things like that in life. So, I'm learning, I'm still learning, and I'm grateful for this conversation. So thank you, ladies. Any final?
I always learn from Aretha and you, Dr. Clover, and I'm just like, wow, because having women of wisdom in your circle in your life is like it's a very beautiful thing to have, and not everyone has it. So I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
So am I. So am I.
So much. And Karen, let me say this to you. You are young, but you embody
wisdom.
so much wisdom. You embody so much wisdom. So I just want to let you know that, okay?
I appreciate
All right. Ladies, this is the end. Thank you so much for joining us, and I appreciate you. And until next time, we will see you again with our next topic. Thank you. Bye-bye.